I want to play this clip of Bernie here. He can't stop talking about Cuba and their literacy programs here.
But on this issue of the potential political peril you and Democrats could suffer in Florida, Congresswoman Donna Shalala said, come on down to Miami and meet with the people who have been affected by his regime. Would you be willing to do that and hear them out?
I go all over the country, of course. Cuba is a dictatorship. I've said that 8 million times. But that does not mean to say, as Obama pointed out, that even under a dictatorship, you could teach people to read and to write, that you could provide health care to all people.
Good night, man. So we did a whole thing on this yesterday. We're not going to do it again. But we also teach kids to read and write in America. That's not a bonus thing that they do that we don't. I'm not going to do it all again. Great article read today in the Miami Herald, and we knew a ton of these would come out. But Miami Herald by Fabiola Santiago. She was 8. She was in the 3rd grade when her mom, who was a teacher, was forced to resign because the teacher, mom, refused to teach communist dogma to her students. And she wrote an article about being in a communist literacy program. And she said when she's writing about herself. She's writing about herself as 8. When she's asked to write a glowing essay on Fidel Castro, she writes the biography, complete, thorough, but no glowing appraisal, because at 10, she knows more than Bernie Sanders at 78. And she goes on and talks how terrible communism is, even though they had a literacy program. And she makes the big argument that literacy predates Castro. She calls it's a common and often repeated lie that everyone was backwards and an idiot before Castro came in and it magically made everyone brilliant. Her mom worked in a literacy program in the countryside after graduating from Teachers College in the early 50s. You had to do that in order to then go teach in a classroom. All right, so there was literacy even before Castro, and there's literacy here. This is the dumbest conversation ever. So why would you, here's the big question, here's why it's relevant. Why would you believe the communist government's lies that a country has a literacy program because of Fidel Castro? Why would anyone today believe that? You would only believe it if you think that all good things have to come from government. If you are a socialist, all good things have to come from government, always. There's no other explanation for anything good that ever happens. And on the flip side, if anything bad ever happens, it's because there wasn't enough government. We see this all the time. Anytime there's something good, it's because of government. You didn't build that. Anytime there's something bad, it's because we didn't have a law. We didn't have enough government to stop it. That's the progressive mindset. So that's why this matters. Because the fact that Bernie would and continues to pray, again, it's one thing if here's a video from the 80s, Bernie, and he's like, it was a long time ago. But this is like last weekend until last night. He's doing the same things today. He won't stop it. It's because all good things, in his perspective, all good things come from government. And that's obviously super relevant to today. But listen, really in the end, none of this matters. I read an article all worked up because Bernie can't say how much any of his programs cost or how he'll pay for them. And they're like, it's unbelievable. Can you believe that? Blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you, no Bernie supporter cares. No Bernie supporter cares how much anything costs because it's not about that. This tweet right here, we showed it yesterday. We're going to show it again. This tweet here this is completely changed my thinking of this entire primary moving forward here. This changes everything. It's from Matt Walsh. He said, Bernie's arguments are moral, not economic. That's why he has so much support. He's speaking to the moral outrage people feel, much of it justified. The right has to respond on moral grounds. Talking about the economic infeasibility of his proposals will not be effective. That's exactly right. And I wonder if the DNC will get it, right? Forget about conservatives or Republicans getting it. I don't even know if the DNC will ever get it. And if they do, it might be too late. You hear some people saying, I've seen this lately, that they're like, hey, Bernie could win. Anything's possible. No one thought Trump could win in 2016. He did, so Bernie could win too. That parallel to me is not exactly true. Bernie and Trump are very different. They're very different brands, right? They had totally different name awareness, personas. Bernie, for instance, didn't have a TV show for 15 seasons where he was the man in charge, making decisions, telling people you're fired. Bernie's not the same campaigner as Trump. They're very different. But the movements behind them really are the exact same. John Davidson wrote a great article about this. He went to a rally in Texas, and it was in Austin, so Texas. But the audience, the crowd, like they're free, they're cheering. They don't care about the economics of Bernie's argument. Here's the key word. There is a discontentment among Bernie's supporters. A discontentment. And it's a discontentment that Joe Biden could never tap into because he's part of that problem. He's what people are discontent at. Slater Crusaders, thanks for watching the first on YouTube. If you want more, like, subscribe. We got plenty.